forced me to accelerate my testing schedule. That's a pity the Batman himself can't be here to witness. The birth of Man-Bat.
Hello and welcome to another magic guide for Pathfinder from D6 Damage. Today the topic is Transmutation. Now, like Tzeentch always says, change is inevitable. The key is to make sure it happens in your favor. In this first Transmutation video, we're going to be looking at a set of spells which allow you to become something else. It's possible to get access to these spells through a number of ways. You can play a wizard, you could play an alchemist. The druid wild shape ability gets a number of these. Alright, so the first one is Alter Self. This one is really easy to get. It's a low-level wizard spell. And what this does is it allows you to assume the form of a small or medium humanoid creature. That's your elf, your dwarf, your gnome, and a number of other things. So another important thing to remember is this is a true transformation. It's not a glamour, it's not an illusion, and it doesn't have a very long lifespan. You're going to be able to alter yourself for 1 minute per caster level. That's not very long. Another thing about these transformations that you should be aware of is that the bonuses you get are size bonuses, which means that they stack with things like Bull Strength, Cat's Grace, and all of those things which are enhancement bonuses. So anyway, back to Alter Self. If you assume the form of a small humanoid that's like a hobbit or a gnome or something, you get a +2 to your dexterity score. If you assume the form of a medium humanoid, you get a +2 to your strength score. You also have the potential of getting some ability enhancements. You can get dark vision, low light vision, scent, or swim. If you're planning on getting some of these nice sensory bonuses, I would recommend assuming the form of a bugbear, which will give you both dark vision and scent. And if you want to swim, I don't know, become a merfolk or something. And that's about all there is to say about Alter Self. Alright, now here's where things get a little bit complicated. I'm going to talk about beast shape. And I'm going to give my recommendation for some of the animals and magical beasts that you can transform into. As you increase in level, you're going to get access to different levels of beast shape. As you go up in level, you're going to get the option of turning into not only larger or smaller creatures, but you're going to get access to more of the cool special abilities that go with them. So, starting with Beast Shape 1, if you assume the form of a small animal, you get a +2 to Dex and a +1 to your natural armor. If you assume the form of a medium animal, you get a +2 to Strength and a +2 to your natural armor. You also have the ability to gain, that is, if the creature that you assume the form of can do these things, you get potentially Climb with a speed of 30, Fly with a speed of 30, Swim with a speed of 30, Dark Vision with a range of 60, or Scent. Alright, now when it comes to Beast Shape 2, if you assume the form of a tiny animal, you get +4 to your dexterity, -2 to strength, and a +1 to your natural armor. If you assume the form of a large animal, you get +4 to strength, -2 to dex, and +4 to your natural armor. You also get a 30-foot bonus to any of those movements that I previously mentioned. So you can fly at 60 feet, or swim at 60 feet, or climb at 60 feet. You can also grab. That's when you make an attack, you get the chance for a grapple attempt as a free action. You can pounce. That's making a full attack when you charge. Or you can trip. That's an ability to trip an opponent as a free action. Once you get up to Beast Shape 3, you can assume the form of a diminutive creature with a +6 dex bonus, -4 strength, +1 to your natural armor, or a huge animal with a +6 to your strength, -4 to dex, and +6 to your natural armor. You can also become a small magical beast with +4 to your dexterity and +2 to your natural armor, or a medium magical beast with +4 to strength, +4 natural armor. You can also burrow at 60 feet. or fly, swim, or climb at 90 feet. You'll also have the potential to gain Blind Sense. This is a fantastic ability that lets you see invisible creatures and see through concealment, see through blur, and see through displacement. You could gain Constrict. This does bludgeoning damage on a grapple. Ferocity. This means you can keep fighting even past 0 HP. Poison. This is pretty self-explanatory. The DC for your poison will be 10 plus half your HD plus your Constitution modifier. Rake. That gives you extra natural attacks under certain conditions. Trample. This lets you overrun a creature which is one size category smaller than you. And Web. This gives you webs and you can kind of throw them around like a net. Some of the creatures which I think would be beneficial for you to assume the form of if you have the option are the Dire Bear. This gives you scent and grab. It's a large creature. A Wolf. This gives you trip and scent. It's a medium creature. I don't know if I'm saying this next one correctly. A Kushi. This gives you grab, trip, and scent. It's a magical beast. An Eagle if you're interested in flying, because eagles are awesome. And if you're feeling grody, you could become a Cave Leech. This is a medium category magical beast. It has the ability to grab and constrict. Alright, now let's move on to the spell Elemental Body. Much like Beast Shape, as you increase in levels of Elemental Body, you'll gain access to even more abilities. What you get when you use Elemental Body will largely depend on what type of elemental you're becoming. You can become an air elemental, earth, fire, or water elemental. Each one gives you different bonuses. With the first level of Elemental Body, you'll become a small elemental, and you'll increase in size as you go up. Anyway, if you become an air elemental, you get a +2 to your dex. You gain the ability to fly, dark vision, you can create whirlwinds, and you get a +2 to your natural armor. As an earth elemental, you get a +2 to strength, +4 to your natural armor, and the ability to earth glide. As a fire elemental, you get a +2 to your dexterity, +2 natural armor. You get fire resistance 20. You get the ability to burn things you hit, and you gain weakness to cold. As a water elemental, you gain +2 to your constitution, +4 natural armor, a swim speed of 60, and you can create vortexes. Okay, now let's move on to one of my favorite transformation spells, Monstrous Physique. This will transform you into a monstrous humanoid. Personally, I find this one to be the most useful because you gain a bunch of neat special abilities, some stat boosts, and you can still maintain the ability to use a weapon, which if you're an animal or an elemental, your DM may simply deny you. So Monstrous Physique will give you pretty standard bonuses. If you become a small monstrous humanoid, you get +2 to dex and a +2 natural armor. As a medium, you get +2 strength, +1 natural armor, and you gain access to some of the nice movement abilities. That's your climb, your fly, your swim. You can also potentially get scent and dark vision. And as you move up in levels of Monstrous Physique, you get more abilities. My personal favorite form and level of the spell is Monstrous Physique 3 with the Mothman. You get an ability to fly, and you get Blind Sense. For more polymorphing fun, you might consider Undead Anatomy. This will allow you to assume the form of an undead creature. If you're a small undead, you get +2 to dex, +1 natural armor, medium undead, +2 to strength, +2 natural armor. I think the best thing you can do with this spell is Undead Anatomy, level 3, and a vampire. You're going to get DR 5, and it's the best DR, the kind that's only bypassed by things which bypass all DR. You get resistance 20 to cold and electricity, and you get the Blood Drain special ability. Another fun thing you can do is become a ghoul, and you get the Disease ability. Doesn't that sound fun? Finally, let's talk about plant shape. If you assume the form of a small plant, you get a +2 to constitution and a +2 to natural armor. If you assume the form of a medium plant, you get +2 to strength, +2 constitution, and +1 natural armor. Now there's an important caveat. If you assume the form of a plant which can't move, your movement speed is reduced to 5 feet. And if the plant form you're assuming has any special vulnerabilities, you also have those. I think this one only really gets good at Plant Shape 3. This is when you're going to get things like DR and some nice energy resistances. A great plant form to take is the Migo. This will give you DR and cold resistance. A Fungus Man. Those are like small category mushroom guys. They'll give you DR, resistance to cold, and poison, which plants can do. And the Fungus Queen. This gives you Constrict, damage resistance, and resistance to electricity, cold, and acid. Alright, now let's talk about that magic item which can potentially get you around that pesky time restriction. This thing's called a Ring of Continuation. It will set you back a whopping 56,000 gold. But when you're wearing it, you'll have the ability to extend any spell with a range of personal to 24 hours. So if you've got some Jekyll and Hyde fantasies about being a Mothman and flying around terrorizing Point Pleasant, you can live that dream. Just glide around underground as an earth elemental all you want. You can have all the fun of being a vampire without actually being a vampire. So basically what I'm saying is, if you have the money and the spells, you can get around that pesky rule about not being allowed to play monster races. However, I do need to point out that since the printing of Pathfinder Ultimate Equipment, the Ring of Continuation has been nerfed. They put a restriction on it that says, only spells that have a duration of 10 minutes per level are affected by the Ring of Continuation, which means that pretty much all of the spells that I just mentioned can't be used with it. So before you go trying to plop down your gold and buy one of these things at your local magic shop or whatever, make sure your DM is cool with giving you the older version. Because like most things, it's all at DM discretion. Thank you for watching this Transmutation guide from D6 Damage. Now, if you're interested in more strategy guides or character builds for Pathfinder and D&D, check us out right here on YouTube.